The Jordan Show on YouTube.
Today, we're really getting into something fundamental, the psychology of habit.
It's a great topic and kind of surprising when you realize nearly half of what you do every day isn't really a conscious choice.
Exactly, it's just habit.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to unpack that. Why do habits form, and how can we actually steer them using some solid behavioral science?
Absolutely. Think about it. Your morning coffee, checking your phone, the route you drive. Understanding the why behind these automatic behaviors is, well, it's powerful.
And we know you want the key insights without getting bogged down, so we'll aim for that practical stuff.
Let's do it. So where do we start? The brain, I guess.
Right. Why does our brain even bother with habits? Why not just decide everything consciously?
Well, it boils down to efficiency. Our brains are fundamentally lazy in a smart way. They want to conserve energy.
Okay, lazy but smart. How does that work with habits?
So when you repeat something often enough, the brain is like, okay, I see a pattern. It shifts the control of that action.
Just from where to where?
From the prefrontal cortex, that's your decision-making CEO part of the brain, to the basal ganglia.
Basal ganglia. Sounds important.
It is. It handles the patterns, the routines. It's like delegating the routine tasks so the CEO doesn't have to micromanage brushing your teeth every morning.
Huh. Right, that would be exhausting. So
Yeah.
it frees up mental energy for other things.
Precisely. It lets your conscious mind focus on novel problems or, bigger decisions. This whole process is often called chunking.
Chunking, like grouping things.
Yeah, the brain takes a sequence of actions like unlocking your phone, pick it up, position thumb, swipe or stand, and bundles it into one smooth automatic unit, one chunk.
Driving home from work is a classic example, right? Sometimes you arrive and barely remember the actual drive.
Exactly. That's chunking in action. Your basal ganglia took over that familiar routine.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. The brain automates to be efficient. But how does a new routine become one of these automated chunks? How does the loop start?
That brings us to the famous habit loop. Charles Duhigg really popularized this idea. It's got three main parts.
Okay, 3 parts. What are they?
First, there's the cue.
The trigger. Right?
Exactly, the trigger that tells your brain, okay, time to run this program. It could be anything, a time of day, a place, an emotion, seeing someone.
Like seeing the biscuit tin is a cue.
Could be. Then comes the routine. That's the actual behavior itself.
Eating the biscuit.
Or checking your phone, or lacing up your running shoes. It's the action you take. Physical, mental, emotional, whatever it is.
And the third part must be important.
Crucial. It's the reward. This is what your brain likes about the whole sequence. It's the payoff.
The deliciousness of the biscuit.
Or the relief from boredom when you check social media, or the endorphin rush after a run. This reward tells your brain, hey, that cue routine combo, it led to something good. Remember this.
And that reinforces the loop, making it more likely you'll do it again next time the cue pops up.
Precisely. The brain starts to anticipate the reward as soon as it sees the cue. That anticipation can be a really powerful driver.
Can we use that phone example again? How does the loop work there?
Sure. So the cue might be a moment of, say, boredom or waiting in line, just a pause in your day.
Okay, I feel bored.
That's the cue. Right. The routine is picking up the phone, unlocking it, opening maybe Instagram or email.
Yep, familiar.
And the reward. It's often that little hit of dopamine you get from seeing a notification, a new post, a message. It's novelty, connection, distraction, whatever your brain is seeking in that moment.
Boredom. Check phone.
Yeah.
Dopamine hit. And repeat.
Wow. Okay.
It gets wired in pretty quickly.
So understanding that loop is step one. Now, how do we actually, change things, build better habits? BJ Fogg's work on tiny habits seems really relevant here.
Yes, Fogg's approach is quite interesting because it kind of flips the usual script. He argues that big changes don't come from massive bursts of motivation, which we all know fades, right?
Oh, yeah. New Year's resolutions. Exactly. Instead, Fogg says the key is to make the new habit incredibly small. So small it feels almost, trivial. Effortless.
Like ridiculously small. You mentioned flossing one tooth earlier.
That's the classic example. His method has 3 parts: anchor, microhabit, and celebration.
Okay, break those down. Anchor.
The anchor is an existing routine you already do reliably. Something solid, like brushing your teeth, making your morning coffee, putting your head on the pillow at night.
So something you already do without thinking.
Yes. Then you attach your new tiny habit, the micro habit, immediately after that anchor. So after I brush my teeth, anchor, I will floss one tooth, micro habit.
Okay, anchor, then the tiny action. What about the celebration? That sounds a bit cheesy.
Huh. It might sound it, but Fogg insists it's critical, and the science backs him up. He found that it's emotion, not just repetition, that wires in a habit fastest.
Emotion, how does that work?
When you do the tiny habit, you immediately celebrate. And it doesn't have to be big. A little fist pump saying yes to yourself, a little shimmy, just feeling a sense of accomplishment.
Okay.
That feeling of success, that positive emotion, tells your brain, hey, that felt good. It creates a positive charge around the new habit, making you genuinely want to do it again. It hacks the reward system.
So it's less about the sheer number of times you do it and more about feeling good each time you do it, even if it's tiny.
That's the core idea. Make it tiny so it's easy to start, link it to an anchor so you remember, and celebrate immediately so you feel good about it. That positive feeling is what makes it stick.
That's actually quite profound.
Yeah.
Focus on the feeling, not just the action. Okay, so Fogg gives us the tiny start and the emotional boost. How does James Clear's Atomic Habits build on this? He talks about compounding, right?
Right. Clear takes that idea of smallness and really emphasizes the long-term power of consistency. His big concept is that tiny improvements, like getting just 1% better each day, compound over time into, well, massive results.
The 1% idea, I've heard that. It sounds small day to day.
It is, but he does the math. 1% better each day for a year doesn't make you 365% better. It makes you almost 37 times better because of the compounding effect, like interest on savings.
Wow, okay, that's significant. So it's about those tiny gains stacking up.
Exactly. It shifts the focus from finding that one huge breakthrough moment to just showing up consistently and making those small atomic improvements.
And he has a framework for actually doing that, doesn't he? The 4 laws.
Yes, his 4 laws of behavior change. They're very practical guidelines for designing good habits and breaking bad ones. They are. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying.
Okay, let's walk through them. Make it obvious. What's that about?
That's all about the first part of the habit loop. You want to make the cues for your good habits really visible and unavoidable in your environment.
Like leaving your running shoes by the door.
Perfect example. Or putting your vitamins next to your toothbrush. And for bad habits, you do the opposite, make the cues invisible. Hide the junk food, put the TV remote in a drawer, design your space.
Makes sense. Okay, law 2, make it attractive.
This tackles the motivation, the craving. How do you make yourself want to do the habit? One way is temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling. Sounds intriguing.
It's where you pair something you want to do with something you need to do. Like, I only get to listen to my favorite podcast while I'm exercising.
Ah, linking a reward you already enjoy to the habit you're trying to build.
Exactly. Or joining a group where the habit you want is the norm. Social pressure can make things more attractive.
Got it. 3rd law, make it easy. This sounds like Fogg's tiny steps again.
Very much aligned. It's about reducing friction. Make the good habits as effortless as possible. Laying out workout clothes, prepping healthy meals, using the 2-minute rule, just do it for 2 minutes to get started.
And increase friction for bad habits.
Right. Log out of social media apps, delete distracting apps from your phone's home screen, leave your credit card at home if you tend to impulse buy. Make the unwanted behavior harder to do.
Okay, obvious, attractive, easy. Final law, make it satisfying.
This closes the habit loop by focusing on the reward. The reward needs to feel immediate and, well, satisfying. Because the brain prioritizes immediate rewards over delayed ones.
But the rewards for good habits, like getting fit, are often delayed, right?
They are. So Clear suggests finding ways to give yourself an immediate win. Tracking your habit streak on a calendar, seeing that chain grow is satisfying. Having an accountability partner congratulate you. Even just transferring money into a savings account right after you skip an unnecessary purchase.
So you're creating an immediate feeling of success, reinforcing the action. It echoes Fogg's celebration point.
It does. Both emphasize that immediate positive feedback is key to making a habit stick.
So looking at both Fogg and Clear, the massive overlap seems to be start small, tiny, atomic.
Absolutely. That's the foundation for both. Don't try to boil the ocean. Start with something you can actually do consistently, even on your worst days.
But maybe they emphasize slightly different things on top of that foundation.
I think so. Fogg puts a huge emphasis on that immediate feeling, the celebration, the positive emotion wiring the habit in. Clear provides perhaps a more systematic look at the whole environment and the long-term compounding. He talks a lot about systems over goals.
And identity, right? Becoming the type of person who does the habit.
Yes. That's a big part of Clear's philosophy. It's not just about doing the habit, but about shifting your self-image. Instead of, I want to run a marathon, think, I am a runner. Every small run reinforces that identity.
So Fogg gives us the spark and the immediate emotional reinforcement. Clear gives us the compounding system and the identity shift. But both say, start tiny, be consistent.
Exactly. Tiny sparks, atomic impact. You can see how the ideas complement each other beautifully. Microactions are the engine, whether you focus more on the emotional wiring or the systematic building.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up,
Oh.
the big picture is our brains love automatic routines habits because they save energy. These run in a loop. Cue, routine, reward. And if we want to build new habits, the smartest ways involve starting incredibly small, tiny atomic steps and making those steps obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
Couldn't have said it better. Understanding the loop and then using strategies like Fogg's anchors and celebrations or Clear's 4 laws in environmental design, that gives you real tools.
Real agency over those nearly half of your actions that might feel automatic right now.
Yeah, it puts you back in the driver's seat, even for the routines.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener. Pick one habit you do automatically, maybe without even realizing it half the time. What's the cue that kicks it off? What's the routine? And honestly, what's the reward your brain is getting?
Just noticing that loop. That awareness is the first step. Is it serving you? Could a tiny tweak change the outcome? Something to ponder.
And if you want to go deeper on this, the 2 essential reads are definitely Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg.
And Atomic Habits by James Clear. Both are packed with practical advice. Highly recommended.